The Peter, what you said about the beginning of the season, uh, when you start a program, uh, to me that is it's not only the beginning of a season; it's the beginning of coach education, and not only coach education, leadership education of coaches who will become board members and board leaders, and getting everybody on the same page. So really, that's what we're all about. And having heard Mike speak and Matt speak, the connection with the coaches site, it's sort of a who you know and who you can influence kind of thing. Uh,
Yes.
we're having a structural challenge in Canada, hoping that the new Hockey Canada board will help promote that cause. But boy, once you start a season, everybody gets caught up in the rat race of life and doing everything like so. That's the challenge. Peter, go ahead.
Yeah, well, my goal really is right to start with the board. Well, first off, my goal is to talk my friend off the ledge, I guess. But after that, have the board create a mission statement, because how can we create mission statements with the teams if the board doesn't have a clear picture of what its actual role is or should be that they can all agree on. So uh, yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100%, and that's the thing. And like Tim was saying, like, I mean, the reality is in today's, especially in today's world of the internet, right? In a day, you could probably learn enough about the X's and O's of almost every sport out there. So you could understand the X's and O's of it. But until you've actually dealt with being the personnel manager for, up to 30 players, depending upon your teams, right? You don't really, you're not really a coach, because the X's and O's parts, like, is probably the easiest thing of what you do. It's managing those personalities, finding roles for your players, making them feel valued. Veterans versus new players that come in. Right, new players come in very often in the recruiting process are stronger players. I'm talking more like at the collegiate level, are stronger players perhaps than some of your veteran players. But you can't cast your veteran players aside either, because that creates bad locker room. And on the other hand, you can't make the rookies feel like it's all about them, because that also creates a bad culture in the locker room. So there's really a balance that you have to try to achieve. And right, I mean, that's what we need to do as coaches, right? Especially at every level, really, but at that college level, it becomes so important, because I see it with guys I know that are struggling at certain points now, and it's not about the talent. So the only thing left really is the room.
Yeah. Listen, Tim, Dean is on, and before I introduce him and get him to begin what was going to be the original presentation, uh, talking about his work and what he's doing, go ahead, Tim, with your hand up.
Yeah, thanks, Wally. I totally agree, Peter. And really, if you think about it, like, one of the things we all struggle with, or players struggle with, is they like to practice things that are easier and they're good at. And it's the same as coaches. Like, I totally agree. Like, you can go on the internet as a coach and learn probably all you need to learn about their tactics and the X and O's. And even though that's difficult to get to master it and get really good at it, it's easy, because when you start dealing with the room, you get pushback from people and personalities, and it's ugly and it's hard and it's difficult work. And so coaches often just focus on what's easier, up the X and O's, and let the other stuff slide, when the other stuff is like it's way more important. And I was totally guilty of that myself in the earlier days of coaching. And kind of to that point exactly, and we talked about this a couple of years ago. I'm a basketball guy as well. Like, when I was in high school, I played basketball all 5 years of high school. And for years we hear about the triangle offense with Chicago and blah 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 blah. And about a year and a half ago, I finally thought, what the hell is this, and what's it all about anyway? So I went on the internet, and sure enough, after a couple of hours, I'm like, oh, Okay, I get it now. And now when I'm sitting watching a basketball game, as there was a couple of weeks ago in Arizona, ASU and Stanford, I'm able to sort of identify, oh, they're running the triangle offense or they're not. And it's a tactical thing. Now, as we all know, it's a whole other thing to know all the ins and outs and the terminology and the nuance of actually coaching anything, whatever it is. But I totally agree that it's easy to acquire a base level knowledge of the X and O's